Well, me and Tegan had been married for a couple of years, and we had our first son, Matthew. And Tegan, we didn't know it at the time, she was never diagnosed, but she began battling severe postpartum depression after his birth.
And that was for 2 years. I would get up every night with Matthew. For 9 months, he would cry. And I just didn't know, we didn't know what to do. We went to the doctor trying to get him situated.
At that point in my life, I'd never been to church before, and God was never something that was a part of my life. I never felt that I had a need for it. I just relied on myself and lived on my own. With that came sleepless nights. There came anger, tension, hostility in our house, and it got to the point that it was so bad that when I would come home from work, Tegan would be upstairs in the bedroom, and I would stay downstairs on the couch, and we just avoided each other because if we ever came together, it never ended good. I didn't know how to deal with it. Nothing I tried seemed to work, so my choice was to escape, and I went to alcohol, and that's something that throughout my life I'd always turn to when things were hard, and it helped me to get away from that situation. We got more and more distant, and I felt for sure that I was about to lose my wife and lose my son, and I felt absolutely hopeless and didn't know what else to do. And one day, Tegan came up to me and she told me that she wanted us to try to go to church.
I went to church all the way up to I started college, and then when I moved to Lander, I kind of fell off the wagon, but then I wanted to start back again.
We came to South Main, and our very first visit there, Andy was talking about the hope and love that's found in Jesus Christ, and that was something that I haven't felt in a couple of years ever since this had started, and I knew that was what I was missing in my life. And when we came back, Andy came and grabbed us, and he got us plugged into Brian Burke's small group Sunday school class. And sure enough, when we went to that class, their lessons were focusing on marriage and family, and I had no doubt that is exactly where we were supposed to be, that it wasn't coincidence.
I went to Katie Babb's Bible study at her house on Wednesday nights. I got closer. We got closer just by talking to each other, and we talked to each other more calmly.
We began to get more into God's Word, and one Sunday, we were doing a lesson on prayer, and Brian challenged us to reach out to somebody in our Sunday school class. We were still fairly new. I didn't know that many people, but I had met Taylor Riley. He had invited us to lunch with him, and I was just blown away by, it was just obvious how great of a father, husband, and disciple of Christ he was, and I felt that was somebody that I could turn to. A couple of months later, I got a text out of the blue from Taylor. It had been a number of weeks since I had come to him with that prayer request, and he had sent me a text, and it was a picture of his work computer, and on that computer was a Post-it note that had my name on it, and it was letting me know that whole time, over the course of weeks, Taylor had been intentionally lifting our family up before the Lord to bring our request before Him, and to know that a man of God was doing that for our family for that long, that intentionally, just it changed me, and it made me realize that God can change our situation, and that we have people at South Main that care and that can support us through this. And it was around that same time me and Tegan had an argument of our own, and at that time, instead of going to alcohol, I decided that I was going to go to Christ. And after we had cooled down and had a chance to kind of get over it, I came to Tegan and I told her that I wanted us to pray. And we sat down on the couch and we held hands and we prayed like we'd never prayed before for our marriage, for our family. And that was a turning point in our lives. That was when things really started to change. We got more plugged in with the church, I started going to a men's Bible study at Brian Burks' house.
I started working at Learn Express because I wanted to be closer. I was actually learning the Bible verses with the kids, and that was very interesting, trying to learn with 2-year-olds. But I enjoyed teaching, and then I started helping out at preschool on Sunday mornings, Truth Trackers on Wednesdays. And then once Matthew got out of preschool, we started doing elementary with Kevin. From preschool area to elementary to even my adult class, I get fed, which helps in my whole journey.
With time, we both, in our own ways, decided to surrender our lives to Christ. After that, we were both baptized together at South Main, and we're just so grateful to the family of South Main for how they supported us and how God used them to save our family, because I firmly believe had God not intervened and had He not used South Main to affect our lives, we would be divorced, I'd be an alcoholic, and I don't know where our lives would be now. I'm so grateful for what God did for us.